quiet, stop talking. Somebody's talking. Be quiet, stop talking. Somebody's talking. Quiet, stop talking. Somebody's talking. Be quiet, stop talking. Somebody's
Hey now,
talking.
welcome back to another Behind the Investigation episode, number 11, I think this is, with Jared
And Brent.
and that guy over there. We're going to touch base on the investigation last Saturday, which we were able to conduct the first investigation back together as a team, me and Brent, and it was like good old times.
Like riding a bike, brother.
Oh.
It's just, yep.
Yep. Before we get into anything, like I said, we had our investigation last week, Saturday, and I let Courtney know that we were planning to go live. Courtney from Trinity Paranormal Society for investigations out of Long Island, and I let her know. And our little Facebook page, I think, had 89 likes on it at the time. Got up to over 500 views on this live. So Courtney was just sharing the stream out and got it out there for people to see, and I really appreciate it. The whole team does. That
So
was
much.
a move. Good people up there, and we really appreciate the support that you're giving us. And also, Jane from Shadow Visions gave us a big plug last week on her Ghost or Roast show, which was a good show. Awesome. She'll pull up videos from the internet and try to prove them as fake or fact. And they're either ghost or they're roast. She gave us a nice shout out, and I would like to repay the favor and give Jane and Shadow Visions Paranormal a shout out as well. And she does good work out there. She actual investigation, actual evidence. So go ahead, Trinity Paranormal Investigations out of Long Island, and Shadow Visions Paranormal. Hit their buttons. But we're gonna touch base on this investigation. We have two things that we would like to talk about on this investigation that happened. We got two things to bring up to y'all and open up to discussion. Right, Brent?
Yeah, I'm eager to get some thoughts on I got some thoughts on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This, which one in particular we're gonna get into, and I'm really eager to hear what other people think about this. It'd be interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Especially being as skeptical as I am of technology and so forth.
That's
So
why I'd like for you to try to debunk it, and if you can't, what can we do? Right.
yeah.
So
I got some ideas for what we're gonna run through tonight and see how
Mhm.
this looks to us and everybody else. So
we'll be doing some more shout outs later on, but we're gonna hit on some of these two things. I'll just say it right now. There was a lot. If anybody watched the live on Facebook, we played an EVP that was speaking German, boot site, and there was a lot of German going on that night. Heard with ears, heard through EchoVox, heard through Estes sessions, and on EVP.
caption an EVP. Yep, caption an EVP.
So
Now we're not even done review. We're not even close to being done review. We just kind of did a skim
of review. We haven't even started the review basically. I mean, we just looked at a few things. There was a lot of light anomalies seen with own eye.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
captured on full spectrum as well. I mean, yeah, the difference between IR and full spectrum, they were in the full spectrum range. Kind of crazy when that happened. So we'll touch base on this one. I know people have their opinions on light anomalies. Some people are steadfast in their belief that that's a piece of dust.
Yeah.
No, that's a bug. That's lens flare. Take it from me. And Brent. We've seen them where they're not any of those. And we can't explain what the hell they are.
Yeah.
But this one, Brent took some photos with his what's your phone, Brent?
Yeah. So I just used I kind of just took one out of the Explorer Machine and Kelly book and just utilized my iPhone 12
Mm-hmm.
and it was just one quick part in the I don't know, probably about midway through the investigation, and just snapped a couple shots. I think overall, just in the inside, I think I took a couple outside, but overall, I think I took 5 or 6 pictures inside, and two or three of them I actually discarded completely just because it was so dark in there. So anybody who understands how the night mode pictures on the iPhone 12 and maybe even 11, you take a picture and when it's dark out, it just sits there and absorbs light and then takes a picture. And a couple of the pictures, I think you were moving, and it was just a big blur kind of, because you're moving. So I got rid of a couple pictures, and one of them has something extremely interesting in it, and it has nothing to do with motion. No one's even moving in the picture. And that's the one we're going to touch on because it's got something very cool in it. That you touched on the fact that people are very staunch on it's dust, it's a bug, it's lens flare.
Mm-hmm.
There's no secret. I lean that side. I'm gonna throw everything I can to prove. I'm not trying to prove that it is one of those things, but to verify, is it one of those things? Because they are very real occurrences. Lens flare is real.
Oh yeah.
Dust is real, and so are bugs. So,
and there was a lot of them there that evening, from what we've seen on the full spectrum. But we kept through the videos that we've seen already, we can tell what's a bug and what type of bugs are free.
I think I have something to make a point on with that, because I want to explain a few things about why a bug looks the way it does in certain light and so forth. We're going to get into it because I think I can show that this isn't a bug.
I know.
And we're going to touch into that. But I want to, I'd feel like it's a good idea to utilize this time to explain those things. So I'm going to get kind of in depth with a little understanding on light and how it reflects, and radiates.
I'm just going to let you do your thing, but I'll give a little background story on it.
Go ahead.
So I'm at work Tuesday. Busy. Brent, working from home. Not so much busy. Sends me a grip of photos and says, just photos from the investigation Saturday. I thought they were cool. Nothing paranormal on them. I said, okay. So I looked at them.
Except for the flashlight. Remember, I was like, nothing really paranormal cool except for the flashlights on one. So
later on that evening, I'm at home. Probably had 2 or 3 beers. I was like, oh yeah, there's pictures. Let me take a look at them. What the hell was that? Hold on a second. What the hell is that? So I sent a group message to Brent and Ed. Jackie sitting next to my side. I watch TV and I said, honey, any differences in this one and this one? Oh, the light's off in that one. There's more. I sent a group message to the team, and that's when we started ripping this one apart. So go ahead, Brent. Let's
yeah, because I'm just going to jump right into that one. It's funny because you said the same question to Ed and I. Hey, looking at those pictures of when we're doing the SLS, y'all noticed anything different in the pictures? And of course, my first response without even looking was, yeah, bro. I know. I told you it's cool. The flashlight's on in the one. That's why I sent 2 pictures. And the intent really was, hey, these are cool pictures. Maybe you can put them up on the Facebook page, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the intent.
Yep.
Or maybe you could work a still frame into the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And as right after I sent that, I opened the pictures up and scrolled through, and I saw a light. I'm going to say a light anomaly. We're going to show it in a minute. At where the bathroom door was, and I was like, "What is that?" And I kind of zoomed in on my phone, and I was like, "Do you see that light anomaly in the door?" You were like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about." And I actually said to you, I was like, I called you. I was like, "Dude, is that my shoe?" And you're like, "You're taking the picture, genius." I was like, "Oh, Doug." I was like, "What is that?" Yeah, like genius. No, it's not your shoe. Unless you left it over there.
Ed
And
is a sensitive. I wouldn't say he's full blown medium, but he's a sensitive. He has extra, sensory.
Yep.
Said that it was a portal. This area was a portal. We also
that was early.
That was early, and we also got portal out of 2 different apps. So we got portal out of EchoBox and
Scottish Paranormal?
out of Scottish Paranormal Spirit Box app. So when you look at this picture, you might be able to see that why the word.
Yeah, consider full. And I'm just gonna, this was because it was on the live. Another piece of compelling info, which we could touch on again in a minute, but right in the area where this picture, where you see this light anomaly in this picture I took, I actually saw with my own eyes. I was about to walk outside, and I actually said, "Guys, I'm gonna walk outside. Y'all keep going." And as I go to walk out, in front of me, I mean, maybe 1.5 foot, it looked like above the floor, I see 3 blips, and they moved towards me. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And they were blue. Boom, boom, boom. They were real tiny, but I was like, "Whoa!" And if you saw the live, it flipped me out. I dropped the F-bomb on there, didn't I?
Well, I had to calm Brent down, actually. Yeah. Brent being the voice of reason at all times, I had to calm him down at this point.
Yeah.
But if you
it just got worse for me though. It just got worse for me because I saw that you came over, calm me down. You're like, point it where it was and show the GoPro. Point it to, show the camera what it was. So I was pointing, and I'm like, pointing the GoPro, pointing the floor. You come over in front of me, and in the doorway that's leading out of the building, I'm going to call it an orb. All right, it's literally one of the first orbs like this I've ever seen. It's not the first I've seen, and it was like green, and it just went like a ball, just went across the doorway. And of course, I'm like, right there, and then you're like trying to look for it,
and the whole time I'm not seeing it. I'm like, so anybody that wants to see this scenario, this was the live that actually didn't get a lot of views. It is the last of the 3 lives from that night.
And it's so funny because I didn't know Jackie had pushed the live button. Of course, I probably wouldn't have cared anyways because I had done lost my mind on what I was seeing.
But
what really got me was the last one. Good.
I think it's called Howard County Historical or Museum Echo Box Session is the name of that live, where you get to see Brent lose his mind and
lose my dish
back in.
Yeah, and then what really got me that last moment was you're there in front of me, and you're like looking around like this, and I'm like, "No, dude!" I'm like, "It's right in front of you!" And it was like it burst up again right in front of you. And I was like, "It's right there in front of you. How am I the only one seeing this?" And you're like looking like this. I'm like, "No, dude, you're looking way too high. It's down here."
I never saw it. I never saw it. So
yeah, and there's another connection though. Yeah, go ahead.
That night I did see I did see a lot of fast moving shadows. So that investigation was loaded with visual that we could see with our eyes. So
yeah, dude, I got one. So I think we're gonna play an EVP as well tonight. That I clipped out was the first thing I found in my looking through stuff because I was just impatient on early on Monday, and I think it ties in. You talk about seeing shadows, and I think we all we're catching things left and right. Like we saw, like seeing stuff and hearing stuff just going around. But I was leaving to walk outside, and we actually, I think Jackie's actually got the camera like filming me leave, and I stop, and I'm like, I just seen something move over there, and what I saw in that back room was there's like this, I don't know, it's like a wooden cutout of a guy, like a soldier or whatever, and there's because it's a museum, and over its shoulder, and it's dark in there, so it's just a shadow. I see like it looks like a hand go. And I was like, what? And I'm like, who does this? What? Like, I'm like, is this the Goot Sight guy? But like, bye bye,
Bye-bye.
But I think it ties in a little better. The action ties in a little better with what I think we captured on that EVP. But you know what? Are you ready to get into this image?
Yep, that's cool.
And I don't need a shared sound, but I will anyways. So do you want me to do the non flashlight one first? The regular?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the one without the anomaly. All right. So what you see here is there's no anomaly in this at all. And what you got here is you can see it's slightly distorted, and this looks kind of bright. Now, anybody who has an iPhone 12 can attest that has actually utilized it in a dark room can attest that it's amazing what it can do in a dark room, how much light it gathers in to create a picture. And so this is
I can tell you right
dark.
now, this room is pretty dark.
It's dark.
And
it is dark. We had to use flashlights quite a bit when we were looking for stuff. Even though you have a big stained glass window right here, and then on the opposite side behind me where I'm taking a picture, you can see this light, is kind of passing through from this window, but there's another window behind me just like this.
Yep.
And but, I mean, it's a street light outside, not even right outside that window, I don't think. So there's not much ambient light in the room, but the way the iPhone 12 works is when it's in night mode, when it senses dark, the dark room, it opens its shutter up and just soaks in as much light as it can for roughly, think 3 seconds, something like that. And it uses that to compile a picture. So you get an image like this. Obviously, it's not crystal clear. This is a 12 megapixel camera.
Yeah.
This does not look like a 12 megapixel image, but for an extremely dark room, it's amazing what it can do. So, and in here, I'm going to zoom in. You got Jared standing here. And what Jared's doing is he's got SLS in his hand, and you had just seen some stuff in this door. This is the door leading to the other side, and the door leading out of the buildings over here.
Yeah.
Here's a bathroom door. So Jared is doing SLS, and we've got, I think we actually had the echo box going. I can't remember, but you're hearing, you're seeing something. You're trying to get whoever you're like feeling something's right out there. You're seeing shadows. You're trying to beckon whoever's in this door to come in. Come in because you got the SLS. Jackie she's actually filming with the handheld camera. And she's filming the SLS to try and capture if something comes in. And then Ed's actually laying on the floor here, and he's just telling us what he's feeling is going on in the area. And then over here, this little light here, you can notice this slight brightness and a little like light distortion around it. This is actually the picture after the one that we're gonna show that has a light anomaly. So what you got here is this flashlight just went on, or it's about to go off.
It's in the process of closing.
Yeah, it's in the process of closing. So I mean, it's actually, you probably wouldn't even see that, it's so dim, but this is just drawing in so much that it grabs it. So there you go. That's a scene. This is what the room looks like.
Pay attention to the bathroom left door frame.
Yeah. And actually, I want to actually do one thing here. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to make some adjustments on this picture. All right. Just to show some interesting things. All right. So we can see what this actually does. So again, there's nothing unusual about this photo.
Hmm.
So I'm going to go to adjustments here. Let me move this over. All right. So in here, this is just a regular, whatever, the Windows photo editor, nothing fancy. All right. So we got light and color here. And I'm just going to take the contrast up. And what we're going to do is we're going to darken this picture and essentially remove reflections as much as possible and isolate only hot spots. And hot spots are just where radiant light is present or high concentration of reflected light. That's what this is going to do. All right. So we're going to drop exposure. We're going to drop highlights. We're going to drop shadows down. All right. As you can see how dark this is getting.
And that's basically what the room would have looked like in real life.
This is essentially what we were seeing when we were in there. Actually, your shoes did not even reflect that much. Now this is just reflection from the light that is kind of coming in from these outdoor windows.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the white soles of the shoes, they're highly reflective. Maybe not like a reflector, but bright white reflects really good. So obviously you see the SLS. Obviously that's radiating light. You see the reflected light on Jared's face, a little bit on Jackie here. And then if you look over here at the flashlight, this is how the flashlight has a very small amount of light that's coming off it, and because it was going out, but you can see that it's enough to actually grab in this dark room. I mean, you can barely see it here, right? But when you zoom in, it's definitely there. The little reflection, so little spots of reflection, and obviously you have the window. So there you go. That shows you mostly radiating light, a source that's radiating light out, and whatever is highly reflective is also present. And in here, the hottest spot is definitely the SLS.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So we got this one. Just want to give that kind of rundown and show what that actually kind of looks like.
Yep.
So I'm gonna close this picture. So there again, that's what the image looks like originally. All right. So now, let me share screen again because I closed that. Now we're gonna share another image. And I'm actually gonna give a little kind of funkiness lesson in light here. And if anybody's looking at this here, you might even be able to call it out. Ooh, I see it. All right. So Jerry, can I give a little school session?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna try and be as layman's terms and brief about this as I can, but I think it's important.
Let's bring the image up.
You sure?
The way this is first. All
right.
So this is what we're talking about. Let's do it.
All right. So you just want me to zoom in on it?
And then we'll zoom out real quick.
So
what is
there
that?
You go. This is a very odd light anomaly in a picture.
All right. So do your thing.
All right. So a couple things we're going to go over and point out real quick. Obviously, you have a flashlight on, SLS, super hot spots here. Mm-hmm. And you can see there's lens flare going on. Reflective surfaces are reflecting. All right. Mm-hmm. And these are key things. Obviously, everybody should be focused in on when they're trying to assess any type of light anomaly. And
debunk.
Absolutely to debunk. I mean, always to debunk. I'm not trying to, the goal is never trying to disprove or prove something. The goal is to identify the cause of something.
After Brent shows you what he did, I think you'll agree that it's pretty hard to debunk this. But let's go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the open discussion. All right, so quick little lesson, hopefully quick. Understand the light first off. Light's either going to be radiating from a source. So we can see here, we have light radiating, no doubt. I don't think anybody's going to argue. Light is radiating from this flashlight. Mm-hmm. Light is radiating from this SLS. Mm-hmm. Then you have reflected light. Now, the easiest way to go by reflected light is anything you see surface-wise, unless it's radiating light, is reflecting light. So Jared's black shirt here You know, the only reason you're seeing it is because it's reflecting light. Light is reflecting off of it. So you have our eyes that are only able to see visible light spectrum. So we're either seeing radiated light, reflected light, or something that is disrupting the visible light spectrum that we see and the manner in which light is getting to our eyes. All right. Mm-hmm. So you have that part. This camera does the same exact thing. So this camera's sensor is filtered so that only visible light spectrum will get to its sensor. All right, there's a filter on it. If you took that filter off, you'd essentially almost have a full spectrum camera. It would allow in UV, it would allow in IR, and you would not get a very clear, crisp colored picture when you took a picture with it, which is why they put filters on camera. So this, no tampering, this is just a regular iPhone 12, filter on, only visible light spectrum. Light is getting to the sensor. Now again, very dark room, held the button, and that camera is just absorbing as much light as it can. I think, like I said, 3 seconds, I think is what it is, to produce an image. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to go into, lens flare. So we can obviously see this here, these streaks. This is not something you would just see there. This is lens flare. This haze is
lens flare.
Mostly it's about lens flare. This is also exposure in the dark room, but because of lens flare, it's getting a that shadow and haze to it. And then you can see the obvious lens flare here from the SLS. Okay. So very clear artifacts there, light artifacts. Mm-hmm. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is bugs and dust. If this was an IR camera, you would have an IR light, either single or kind of a light block that would be flooding a floodlight of IR, flooding this room with IR so that the IR camera can see. An IR camera cannot see in the dark unless there's IR light present. That's why you have to have an IR light mm-hmm. emitting, so that light bounces off of objects and hits back to the sensor. That's how a camera works. Light has to go into the sensor for it to create an image. Otherwise, it would just be black no matter what. So when you see dust or a bug, it looks like it's glowing hot white because that IR light is hitting it and bouncing back at that sensor, so it glows. As a matter of fact, if you're wearing a black shirt in IR,
it's white.
It tends to look white, not black,
Because the light is bouncing off of it.
It's it. So these are just things that you need to understand, that I think everybody should understand, and hopefully most people do. And the reason I bring it up for this is there is no light emitting from this camera to produce an image.
Yeah.
All right. 90% of the light is coming from what's in front of this camera and being absorbed in from reflected or radiated light. And then a little bit from the window behind me is obviously coming in and reflecting back as well.
The visible spectrum, but we also have IR on.
Yeah. There is. There's IR. There's IR in the room.
But that's not going to be captured.
It can't.
In the visible spectrum.
Nope, it will not see that. It will not see that at all.
It will not see IR light because of the.
And a matter of fact, a good thing to think about, and you can actually test this. I actually watched the video and I thought it was pretty cool. So if you have an iPhone 12 or a phone that has the facial recognition, all right. So if you have face sense when you unlock your phone, like I just did, if you look at that on an IR camera, right? So right now, you don't see anything. I hit this, it sees me, and boom. Well, what it actually looks like is the SLS camera in IR, only on steroids. It's shooting out millions of little dots of IR light all over you to build your face, your facial 3D image from all angles.
I have to check.
And if you look at an IR, it goes like this. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, when you're looking at the 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 GoPro camera, the full spectrum camera,
Yeah, I see it.
and I pull out my phone off on the side. You can't see me, but I do this, and you see all the floor goes underneath where I was, because you can see that IR reflecting off.
I seen that, and I was like, hold on a second. I got the SLS. What the hell's going on? Oh, Brent got a
Right. And I will say part of that could have been when you hit that SLS up and it bounced off one of the pictures on the wall, like right here. That definitely is reflecting those IR lasers out towards everything else. So you can definitely have picked that up as a reflection. But most likely it was my camera looking at my face like, where you at? All right. So here we go. Bugs and dust. If this was a bug or dust, all right, so I'm going to tell you right now, this isn't lens flare. You can see sometimes in lens flare like a circle, like there's multiple circles reflecting, but they follow a pattern. When you see a lens flare like that, it'll follow a pattern that the light is traveling in, all right? So the next thing is, okay, is this dust or is this a bug? And I'm going to tell you it's neither. This is not reflecting IR light or anything from the IR from Jackie's camera, from the GoPro, floodlight, or the SLS, because my camera cannot pick up IR.
Exactly. It's got the filter on it. It can't pick up the IR reflecting off of
It's impossible for it. The next thing is, if it was visible light reflecting off of it or illuminating it. So if it was a piece of dust or a bug, all right, just looking at the size of it in comparison to Jared and Jack, it would have to be pretty close. It would have to be between Jared and me right now for it to be one of those things. Otherwise, that's a humongous bug. You know, look at the size of his shoe and the size of that thing. So if it was close,
you can actually see where it is. I mean, where it's
I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that because there's some light things we need to take in consideration, the way light and shadow works. So for depth, how our eyes perceive depth. Well, let me get into that in 1 second. Let me focus on this one. So for this to be that size in this image and be dust or a bug, it would need to be between us. The kicker with that is if it was between us, it would have to be also between me with the camera and these two bright light sources, which would not illuminate the back side of this object. It would shadow it, and the bright side would be on the opposite. So this would be very dark, or we'd see a very dark spot of it, and then maybe an outline of a brightness on the other side, because you're always going to have some kind of reflected light around an object anyway, three-dimensional object. So I'm going to tell you, it does appear to be right around this door and towards the base. I'm going to talk about some interesting things about it that just baffle me, though, but I think they also help explain what it is. So again, this is either radiating light, reflecting light, or it's something distorting the visible light, the way we see visible light, all right, in that area. And if it was the first two make it the most mind-boggling, because if it's radiating light and it's super bright, it also should be reflecting light off of the surfaces around it. In the same respect, if it was reflecting light, like this light here, then it still should, if it's reflecting light to my camera, then it should also be reflecting light off the floor. So either way,
exactly like
radiating, reflecting, yeah. I mean, look here at your shoes, all right? Here's your shoe, and here's a reflection in the floor, right? So we can clearly see the floor is reflective, right? I mean, not much needed there. The floor is reflective. But this image does not show that. Right. So the next thing that really comes down to is, you know, most people are going to say, well, it's not reflecting anything on surface because it's lens flare. All right. Lens flare does reflect, and we can see that, All right, we can see how lens flare is reacting because the light is coming out. But lens flare in itself technically isn't reflecting anything. The light is going everywhere, and it's hitting. Lens flare is just hitting the sensor at a certain angle. It's blinding it, and it's causing it to refract a bit in a sense, and give off this artifact. So the thing to do is eliminate reflections as much as possible, lens flare as much as possible, and darken this image to only show the hot spots, which should be either the points that are radiating light, the points that are 100% radiating light, or are super really reflective enough to let the camera see it. So that's what we're going to do again. So we're going to run right through that process. We're going to go to edit. We're going to go to adjust image. So there you go. This is the regular image, nothing done to it at all. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go in here to light. We're going to jump the contrast all the way up. You can see how it already starts to darken. We're going to drop the exposure. We're going to drop the highlights, and we're going to increase all shadows. So what you have here is the hottest spots of the picture. Clearly, this lens flare of this flashlight has dropped tremendously. The SLS is gone.
Again, this is more like what our eyes were seeing at the time.
Yep. The lens flare from the from the SLS, gone. What's interesting is what's not gone. You can actually see, same thing. Everything you just saw in that other photo, all there. Interestingly enough is our little friend is still there and illuminated. And if you look at this, I mean, dude, it looks like a cloud of energy, a cloud of light. And let me just play with this tint. This will trip you out.
It has dark spots.
I mean, I can play with the tint. These are all colors that are in. Yeah.
It has 4 hot spots.
Yeah.
You can actually see the image changes when the light is taken out.
Dude,
it's
this one trips me out.
Image at first.
Yeah. Look at this one.
I mean, you can see the depth in it now.
Yeah, you can see where it does not have it's incorporeal. There's no definitive shape here to it. It looks like a cloud of energy. This to me, like when I put the tint all the way up and increase the warmth, it looks like a friggin' nebula in outer space. All right, so that's what I just did.
Again,
so look at this. Look how orange everything is. The blue's here, and this is a light on this corner. And look at that. And then let me just drop the warmth all the way down. And this one trips me out. So this is going to give some different kind of highlights so you can see what's going on. So there's the room when I drop the warmth. So again, all the same settings are there. It's just showing this is all that all the reflection of light that you see, all this here, this is all reflected light that's been silenced out.
Of the lens flares.
You can see the trail of the lens flare. Yeah.
But
this is a complete hot spot of its own. And if you look at this, there's parts of this, I don't know why it's not me, but there's parts of this guy here that are just as bright as this SLS.
Oh yeah.
All right. They're just as bright as that SLS.
Are just as bright.
So, I mean, I find this super compelling.
So do I. I mean, like I said, we're leaning a certain way on this, but we want to know what y'all think. So
one more thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to show one more thing. So I'm actually reset all this. All right. So everything's reset. This is the standard image. And here's something else I find interesting. When I zoom all the way in, you see this light distortion around. Everything's pixelated, so bear with us, guys, because I mean this is an extremely dark room. This camera did its best, but I can still see a distortion around the light, which is the same thing you see when you look at that flashlight in the other image when it was almost off. I mean, it was almost off. It was just the last little bit of glow on that bulb is when I snapped that last picture. And it gives off that same kind of, just a little light distortion in the visible spectrum there. Here, it just looks like a bright white light. I didn't see this at all when I took the picture. Jared had to point it out, like, hey, what is that? And, you know, initially, honestly, my brain was probably like, there's so much reflection and hot, you know, and lens flare in this. I didn't even pay attention. But now that I see it, I can, you know me, I got to dig into it and figure out what it is. And it's not, a matter of fact, I say, can I show one more picture?
Yeah.
All right. So this picture is just to show, I kept this picture just because I liked it. I may have even sent you this one. You can see where this is the same thing. Now we actually had a flashlight on because right after this picture was taken right after I saw what I saw with my oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, right after I saw what I saw with my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's right after we took that picture. Right after we took that picture. If you're watching the video from Jackie, she hears this GoPro camera beep, and it's because it's about to die. So in this image right here, so I was just over on this side over here, taking those two pictures. You stopped the SLS and came over here and changed the battery. So this is you walking back. You can see, here you go. Remember, it's the flashlight was on, but it's still doing its overexposure because it was still pretty dark in that room with one flashlight. All this was still pretty dark. So you're moving, and it kind of makes you look like
the photo
do
you're
what?
talking about's not up.
Oh, you're not seeing it?
No.
Oh, dang it. It says I'm sharing. Here, let me stop sharing. I'll do it again. Let me know if you're seeing it. Are you seeing this photo now?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
My apologies, everybody.
All
right. So this image is from right after I took those other two, those other two images. So if you're watching the video, Jackie was with her camcorder. While you're doing that SLS session, you actually hear the GoPro that's right next to me in this image beep. The battery's about to die. So this image, I walked over here and I snapped just an action fun shot.
Right.
And you're actually changing the battery out. We have a flashlight on right here because you were changing the battery out. But even with that flashlight, it was still pretty dark in this whole room. This room was not this bright with a flashlight on. Not even close.
No way.
Over here was bright where the flashlight was.
Yeah.
But again, same thing. Camera sense, dark room, keeps the shutter open for like around 3 seconds. And that's what actually produces this see-through Jared image right here because he was moving, you know, Jackie was moving. All right. You get the face. Look at Ed's right here. Creepy red face. No face at all. I love that. But the reason I pulled it up is this. There's nothing here. This is all wood. All right. And that image actually looks like it's up above.
Yep.
But even more so, the light, all the light, the hot spots of light from the image I took. Remember, I'm over on this side where my cursor is, taking a picture. So the light sources were facing me and away from this doorway, which is why you can't see the door. It's all, you know, it's a big shadow back here. There's no light from the flashlight or the SLS really penetrating that. There's nothing here to reflect the kind of light anomaly that we saw.
Yep.
Zero. So
it's obviously radiating its own light.
I think it's
it's radiating a light that we couldn't see at the time.
Or it was so dim you probably couldn't see it, or I mean, there's other factors there. Maybe it was that bright.
So,
you know, I mean, it happened fast. You and Jackie were going to be blinded from other light sources because you had the SLS right there. She had the IR camcorder. You guys probably wouldn't see that. Ed's laying on the ground and he's looking, actually, he's talking to you guys while he's laying there. He's not even looking over there.
Yeah.
And I have a camera in my face, and the screen, even when it's dark, it's still emitting light at my face, and I'm focused on this. You know, not to mention I have a flashlight in my eyes. You know, from the other side of the room, I didn't see it.
So, like I said, we want to open it up. I know which way we're leaning. I don't want to come out and say it just yet. We got some other things to do, but we want to know what you think. What do you think of that light anomaly? Can you debunk it?
You know,
and how would you try to debunk it? Let us know.
Yep. And it's funny because Dark Water and I'm sorry. Good.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Dark Water and I were just having a conversation about this a few videos ago, discussing light anomalies and, you know, really, I mean, I hate to say the goal is to debunk it because it's not, the goal is not to prove that it's not.
Yeah.
The goal is to be honest and identify what it could be, you know, understanding how light works. And light's a funny thing, bro. Light is something that if you are observing its, if you're not observing it at all, you're just kind of letting it do its thing. Or actually you're observing its end result, it acts like a wave.
Yep.
But if you try and focus in and see how it actually is traversing, it acts like a particle. This is simple physics here. Light is trippy. It's trippy. And that's why I said something can affect how you perceive visible light. Something there was affecting light, whether it was radiating it on its own. Energy had to come from somewhere to produce that image. It was either reflecting, radiating, or something was distorting the visible light spectrum right there. The fact that, like you said, portal was actually felt by Ed and mentioned on 2 devices, and not when we were talking. Heck, the Scottish Paranormal app, we were coming back in from a break, and it said portal right as we were walking by. And I was like, "Did that just say portal?" you were able to like, "Yeah, dude, it said portal."
So y'all got to look at a little inside scoop of how we try to debunk things. Again, we'd like to open it up to you and tell us how you would try to debunk this. All right.
Yep.
In the comments below, we'd like to see it. I've said it before. I stand 100% behind our review process, and I know that we will do everything that we can to give this the full analysis. But I think it's an ectoplasm.
Yeah, to me, it's the same thing. I'm like, I like to say the word plasma. It's definitely some type of energy. To me, there's an energy here. It's incorporeal. There's no shape to it. It looks like a cloud of energy, bro.
Once all the visible light is sucked out of that image, you can actually see the depth of that object.
Yeah.
Lens flare is not going to have.
It doesn't have. It doesn't. Yeah.
Lens flare is a stationary thing. Sometimes it'll come in little balls, like Brent said, but it is stationary. It does not have depth. Thing you can tell has depth and shadow.
Yeah.
It has shadow.
Yeah, it has shadow. You can see the light spots and the bright hot spots and the dark spots in it, and it creates that cloud, gassy looking pattern. Like if you've ever seen a picture of a nebula in space, to me, I was like, dude, that looks like a nebula in outer space. That's wild.
Crazy.
Trippy.
That's not it that we're going to share with you from this investigation. But after this one, this is going to be it. This is a little teaser for the documentary that's coming.
These are teasers.
Like I said, we captured a good sight, which means good time. It was on the live on Facebook.
Yeah, we didn't capture it on the live. That was
We
from
played it.
our actual first investigation there.
And all of us, I think, heard disembodied voices with German at one point in the evening. And it just so happened that Brent had his phone out recording, and we captured some German.
I'm pretty confident it's German.
It's definitely German. Jackie said it's German.
Yeah.
Brent.
And my neighbor, who is German, I was like, look, this is odd.
Yep. I mean,
I'm gonna ask you a weird question.
Is straight from Germany. She makes a great sauerkraut. Jackie knows German, and this is German. And I will let you know that we did not have any kids with us that evening as well. So Brent, go ahead and play this evening.
All right, so I went ahead and this is the only thing we've actually clipped out so far. Share this. and pull this up. All right, so what we've got here, can you see this, Jared?
Yep.
All right, so what we got here is I took my iPhone 12 and I had a little tripod and I set it on one of the glass display cases in the back room. So we're actually behind the camera in that main pew and stage, church room. Here's more of the museum back here. And honestly, the goal was to try and catch anything that may be passing by. We were seeing shadows back in here all night. This is that, what I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
This is that thing. And I seen something reach behind this. Actually, this is in the way. It was between these two, I think. And it looked like a little hand, like doing a wave at.
This is
and I think that ties into this.
This is where I seen that shadow block out that window there.
Right. Yeah, you saw it like right up in here, right?
Mm-hmm. Head and shoulders.
Yep. So, I'm thinking what I saw. What I saw ties in with this because the action of the little kind of hand wave to me is very childish. And let's just play this, and I'm gonna play it a couple times and let everybody hear what it says. Is that good with you?
Yep.
All right, here we go. One more time.
So that's German.
Yeah.
And that's a kid. And then there's another.
As a kid, I think it's two different entities. It definitely sounds to me, just from what was being said there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Sarah, and it's saying Sarah, look. This is all in German, but and I put the subtitles in English there too. Sarah, look. I think it said something like, "These are friends of ours."
Mm-hmm.
See, these are friends of ours. And then like the last part is kind of like someone else responding, like it's almost like saying, "Okay, so what then?" Like,
what
okay,
do you want us to do with these guys? You know what I mean?
what are we doing?
Yeah.
And this is compelling because what you're not hearing is you just heard, what's not captured in this clip. You just heard something in the corner, behind this camera in the room we were in, and which we heard quite a bit of stuff in, and I know we've got other things captured from that area, which we'll get to another time. But
this doc's gonna be good. This might be a two-parter. Actually, we're talking about doing since it felt so active at points. But
I mean, till we know exactly what we got out of it, right? Who can really say? But I will not be surprised if it turns into a two-parter.
I mean, there's some good stuff in it. We had a good time, and I hope these guys enjoyed the little sneak peek. And again, I want to know what you think of that light anomaly. So when you get this, watch it. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think that is. This is for the actual investigation.
Yeah, and I'm 100% open to try doing this.
Yeah.
This can produce that. I can show you how this produces the same image or same type of something. I want facts. Like I want to know what something is. I'm not trying to say, hey, I've done everything. Ha ha ha. This is it.
Yeah, we want to know what you would do. What you would do. So there is a few more shout outs. And these are all channels that work well with us. And I feel like we have a good connection with. Shane and Kelly, Exploring with Shane and Kelly. Kevin, Spirit Communications. Dark Water. And A Curious Rose. She started commenting a lot.
Yeah.
I go through a Three Souls Paranormal premiere one night, and she likes her stuff. She does very uplifting musical videos, stuff like that, inspirational type stuff. But Darkwater out of South Africa, yeah, he's got the Dark Vessel sessions. Kevin is an ITC wizard. I would have loved to have Kevin on this investigation. You know? Could you imagine that? And Shane and Kelly, they explore everywhere out of Ohio. Awesome people. And then we got our Latino flavors from Portugal, Brazil. A Procura do Supernatural, the Correct Vista Supernatural, and KLX Investigago Supernatural SP. All these people, when you see them on our comments, go to their channel. They're good people. They'll support you back. They will support you back, and we appreciate it. But again, we want to know. We want to know what's going on, what in your mind about this thing, because I know what our mind's processing, and I want to know what yours is.
Yeah, I mean, we have it from the perspective of what we're feeling, things we heard, what we've seen with our own eyes, and obviously what we've captured here. So I mean, we have more feeding our perception and our decision here, but it's important to get buy-in from outside sources. From the 1,000-mile view, I want to know. I want to hear what people think.
And we met last night as a team, the four of us, over Zoom, to discuss this image and the thoughts on everybody after Brent did his magic and edited the photo and brought all the natural light out. And we came to the conclusion, let's bring it up for a discussion. But that's what I want to do. Let's discuss it. So when this comes out Monday morning, comment down below what you think. And
I'm hoping we get a lot of comments. I like seeing the hey and hellos. That's always so warming, and good videos is always great. Makes you feel good.
Yep.
Let's get some communication, some thoughts. No one's right or wrong here. No one's. There's you don't agree with it. Go ahead. Let's hear the whys for.
I forgot one more.
Yeah, go.
My buddy out of North Carolina, two buddies, Wolf and Hound, Abandoned Exploration Paranormal. Guys out of North Carolina, these guys they're pretty cool to watch. They're some Southern boys who go out into these abandoned places and do some investigating. They did good work. So Wolf and Hound hit that button. But other than that,
Southern boys to you, they're northern neighbors to me.
Yes, they are northern to you, but to me they're southern, and they even got that little bit of southern twang to them. You know what I mean?
I love you guys. That's awesome.
But all right, so that's it. That's it for this episode. This week we have two more Civil War battlefield.
That's what I'm saying. It's over now.
We have two more Civil War battlefield ITC sessions. The two last week. I hope you enjoyed. They were fun doing, and pretty soon we'll be having these documentaries out. We'll have BHH back out, and we'll have Howard County out too. So,
Buddy,
stay tuned. Things are going to get good. I think things are already good, but
I'm having fun, and I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Oh yeah, me too. So for me,
And Brent,
I wish you would do. I will not let you go into that darkness alone. See you, y'all.
yeah.